I'm Kakashi with Kanto Capital. So we are officially here for the 1000 subscriber Q&A. As always, thank you guys for the support. Thank you guys for the questions. I hope you guys will find this Q&A fun and interesting, and maybe we can discover some things along the way too. So let's get to it. I want to apologize in advance if I mispronounce some of your names or usernames. This stuff can get a little tricky, but I will try my best. Benjamin says, "You deserve this. Keep up the hard work, mate." Tommy Coley, "I love the videos, bro. Keep them up. Plus great content." M Anime, "Congratulations, Kakashi Senpai, with the 1K subs. You're now monetized. Think it took 3 weeks. Let me know. I'm gonna start posting a week from now." Guys, all I can say is again, thank you so much for the support. M Anime, "I am not quite monetized yet. I still have a little bit of ways to go to reach my 4,000 watch hours, which is the other half of getting monetized, but hopefully we'll get there soon." Again, thank you all guys for the kind words. Up next, Harris Hinton asks or says, "I love getting great deals on sealed product because it almost always goes up in price, but I have such a hard time keeping anything sealed. How do you do it?" Harrison, I am not kidding. Every time I read your question, it just makes me laugh. I can just hear the expression in your words, so thanks for that. So regarding keeping products sealed, that's definitely a very common problem. I'm actually a pretty weird guy about this kind of stuff, so I don't really have the same urges of opening products like most normal people do, so it's very easy for me to keep it sealed. I think it's partly because I'm just so business and value focused. I just see opening product as, losing money and losing value when I open the product. So I'm just one of those weird minimalist people. I don't buy anything for myself unless I absolutely need it. My mindset just and my brain just works a little bit differently. So I just don't quite have that same feeling when it comes to sealed product. What I can say is if you can't resist the urge and you're thinking of your sealed product as an investment, then you just have to hide it and you just have to forget about it. You have to hide it from yourself. The great thing about your question is that you understand one of your, I guess I'll call it a weakness. It's not quite the right word I'm looking for, but you understand your mindset and how you work. And so you just have to work around those strengths and those weaknesses you have. Just like there's certain things that I know I'm very good at with regards to business and investing, and there's other aspects that I'm not. And I try to focus around my strengths, and then my weaknesses, I try to find ways to work around that, whether it's finding others that can complement me or other ways to, again, work around my other weaknesses. So again, maybe for you, that means putting your sealed product in a box and hiding it in the closet where you're never going to see it. Another suggestion I might have is that you buy some products for personal fun that you can just leave it out, and that could be the product that you are quote unquote allowed to open, and just try to ration yourself as best you can. So maybe you have a booster box sitting there, don't open the whole box. Maybe limit yourself to a handful of packs or a few packs and slowly work your way through that rather than your main, I guess, investment or the products that you're trying to keep hidden from yourself. I can say that when I was little, I actually tried to keep a bunch of Marvel and sports cards product sealed just because I thought it looked so cool. It was kind of like having my own little card store in my room. So I had all these booster boxes out and I had these sealed product all in my room. But of course, in the end, I ripped open every single one of them. So I do understand the feeling, even though I don't really quite do that anymore. I know it's tough, but I know you can do it. The fact that you understand how your mentality works, that's a huge plus. So I think you're going to be able to do it. All right, next question. Blake McLaren asks or says, thanks for the awesome videos. Question: why do the Japanese versions of cards usually sell cheaper than English? So that's a very good question, Blake. It's a fairly simple answer, but it's also a complex answer at the same time. So the simple answer is that it's just a simple answer of supply and demand. Japanese cards, even though it's the original country that it's from, there's just so much less demand than the English versions. Now you have to keep in mind a couple of things. First, English is the more commonly used language. And even in large cities like Japan, I don't know if any of you guys have been to Japan, but if you go to the large cities like Tokyo, for example, a decent amount of people have functional English speaking skills there. So I don't speak any Japanese at all, but I can go there, speak English, and a decent amount of people can actually assist me with things that I need with me speaking to them in English, and they can actually somewhat respond back functionally. Now, if you try going to, let's say, an average person in New York City, for example, see if anyone can speak functional Japanese. I mean, that just would not happen, or at least statistically, it would not happen. And also, if we look at the population reports, no, not the PSA population reports, if we look at just the human population reports, Japan has a population of about 126 million people. The United States population is 328 million. So that is 2.5 times bigger, just factoring in the United States versus Japan. And don't forget that other countries, English is a very global language because America has been such a large economic power for so long. So English is functionally used in a lot of different places. So the pool, not just factoring in the United States, but other countries, they can speak English as well. I've been to other Asian countries as well, where again, people can speak functional English there. Versus again, if we go to America, counting on someone to be able to, again, speak an Asian language fluently, it would be very difficult to find. So the market for English cards is just so much larger, not even just comparing the United States versus Japan. Now, one thing to remember though is even though as of now the Japanese versions of Pokemon cards are usually much cheaper than English versions, that doesn't always mean it's going to stay that way, but so far it has been that way for 20 years and it hasn't changed yet. We haven't seen any type of change or equalizer where the values have become equal. So I wouldn't say to assume that it's always going to be that way, but so far history and data has shown that it probably will continue that way for the foreseeable future. So thank you for that question. Great question, Blake. Next, Taylor Restall. How long do you think it will take for Darkness Ablaze, Vivid Voltage, or Hidden Fates to double from its current value? I have a bit of all that. Kudos to your channel, by the way. Thank you, Taylor. So I have no clue, to be honest. If I knew how to figure that out, I could tell you I would be rich and retired already. What I can say is because those are all modern products, you're just going to have to be patient. It's going to be a bumpy ride. It's going to be a wild ride. You just have to remember that when you're dealing with modern, there is going to be things like reprints. Prices will fluctuate. Prices are going to go up. A reprint's going to happen, and the prices are going to come back down. And we never know when or if that's going to happen. And then also you have things like new sets coming out, and then people move their attention over to the new sets, and we kind of forget about the prior sets that happened a year ago or 2 years ago. And so we never really know what the future will hold. So really, I have no clue, but all I can say is you just have to be patient with modern and let time take its course. All right, next question, Girafetica. In your opinion, what are the best modern sets that are moderately priced to invest in? All right, so this is an impossible question to answer, and so this is for a lot of reasons. I mean, what I consider the best is different from someone else depending on your goals and your expectations. For example, there's a lot of people that are in the hobby now that are very new, and they just want to come in and maybe flip something for double, and they're happy to double that money, be done with it, and they could just say, wow, I doubled my money in a month. That was great. Then there's other people like me. I'll buy something knowing that the price might not move for 5 years. And I'm fully aware of that. But I'm willing to wait because I'm looking for those 10 to 50 times returns, even 100x returns. And I know that sounds impossible, but trust me, if you were buying vintage cards in 2016 or earlier, you are definitely sitting on 50x returns. But anyway, so best is relative depending on what your goals are. And if I told someone to buy something and this is a good investment, and then they see the price hasn't moved for a year or even went down in price, most people will be frustrated by that. They would say, wow, you told me to buy this and it's a good investment, but it's gone down in price in a year. And so the best investment for one person can be bad for the next person, again, based on your goals and your expectations. Because a lot of people are kind of hoping for that double and that triple up, and then they just want to liquidate their positions. So, quite literally, the definition of best for one person could be terrible advice for the next person. Again, if I don't understand or know your personal goals and what you're looking for. The other part is price, moderately priced. There's a couple ways that I read that part of the question. So first is, of course, we all know price is relative. So for some people, an elite trainer box is a lot of money. For other people, a booster box is a large investment. And for some people, a $5,000 investment is nothing. Like they wouldn't even think about it. So, and then on top of that, not only in terms of dollars, but moderately priced to me actually means something else. For example, I think $20 for the new Charizard theme deck, the Vivid Voltage one, I think that's expensive. Do I think it will go up in value? Yeah, I absolutely do think it will go up in value. I think it's a great looking card. However, for me, just personally speaking, I see the theme deck as a mass-produced product that can easily be reprinted to meet demand. We could see that deck reprinted for 2 years, basically, as long as it's in standard play. Every single deck, every single one is going to have that Charizard inside. And so when I say mass-produced, there's a difference between, again, a chase card and a booster box where you might only get one out of every 100 or 200 packs versus a theme deck that's going to have a Charizard in every single one. And so for me, even though the $20 price point is cheap, I think it's expensive for what you get. So I wouldn't consider that moderately priced. But will it go up in value? Yes, again, I probably think it would. And will it go up in value quickly while we're in this bull market? I would venture that it probably would go up pretty quickly in price. And generally, especially if you were able to get it at retail price, which I think is about $13 for the theme deck, if you're able to pick that up at retail, I think they have very good flip potential, just a quick flip. But whenever the market goes down, these are the types of products that probably a lot of people are going to want to sell first versus, let's say, something that's more vintage or that's more rare. Versus, let's say, as this bull market really started to hit another gear, I've been shifting my focus. And this is a big tip for you guys that actually made it this far and is actually paying attention and listening. But I've been shifting my focus to buying more exclusive products, more special cards. So I have the promo Charizards from Japan, the illustrator cards. I got the I don't know how to pronounce it, but the Kanazawa. I'm probably completely butchering the place, but the new Pikachu promo cards from Japan. Or the Pokemon Center Special Delivery Pikachu that was released for United States and Canada. So I picked up those as well, again, because of the exclusivity. And if you want something more simple, I've even picked up simple cards like the Hidden Fates Shiny Charmander cards because I saw that it's not this cheap anymore, but they were dipping below $20. So I had picked up a few under $20 for Hidden Fates Shiny Charmanders. And so for, let's say, $20, in that $20 range, you can find much more limited, much harder to get cards. And that $20 cost, that $20 to $25 range cost, it doesn't include the value of me not having to, for example, go to Japan or having to rip open 100 packs to get a shiny Charmander or any particular card in Hidden Fates, for example. Now, will these cards that I bought, that I listed as an example, will they suddenly skyrocket and double and triple in value? I wouldn't count on it. I wouldn't bet on it for sure. But I think they will outperform in the long run. But those, due to their limited availability, their difficultness to acquire, those fit my definition of moderately priced whereas I think $20 for a theme deck, again, is expensive, even though they're both effectively the same price. So sorry for the long explanation. I know I went a bit off tangent there, but I just wanted to illustrate why these questions are a very big slippery slope. So going back to that original question of what are the best modern sets that are moderately priced to invest in, I wish I could answer something like that, but it is just so impossible to answer a question like that without having a personal discussion or some type of personal consultation. So the best answer I could really give you is that the best set is what you personally like and what you personally believe in. Now, what I can add is that my personal favorite recent sets, if you've been watching a lot of my videos, you'll know that I'm a very big fan of Cosmic Eclipse and Hidden Fates. Now, I'm not saying that these are the best investments, but they are my favorite modern sets right now. I think those sets are fantastic. And if you guys don't know, haven't had confirmation. I've heard a lot of mixed comments about this, but supposedly Cosmic Eclipse is rumored to be coming out with a reprint. And so if so, watch out for that because you might be able to pick that up back at retail price versus right now it's really skyrocketed up over time. Rayquaza Rarity asks, how much do you think Champions Path Elite Trainer boxes will go for after the reprint? Do you think they'll hit $100 plus? So once again, I don't have any clue. I can't tell the future yet, but I'm working on it because once I can tell the future, things are going to be a lot easier for me. But what I can say is usually with reprints, you can expect the price to drop. You just have to remember that with reprints, that usually means an increase in available supply. In order for the price to go up in that circumstance, you're going to need demand to substantially increase. The market has to be able to absorb the existing supply as well as the new incoming supply that's coming from the reprint. So I imagine with the reprint, because I know Champions Path is having more reprints scheduled from what I understand, so I imagine prices might go down after the reprint, and I have no idea if Champions Path ETPs will reach $100 or if and when they will. Alright, and Alpha's Cloaked asks, favorite Naruto character after Kakashi? Wait, how'd you know Kakashi's my favorite? Ooh, man, but Alpha's Cloaked, that is a tough question. Because if you're a fan of Naruto, you know there are so many amazing, great characters in the series. But I think after Kakashi, I probably have to go with Rock Lee. I mean, he has some of the best fights in the entire series, in my opinion anyway. I think he has some of the best fights in the entire series. You know, the Gaara versus Rock Lee fight is legendary. At least for me it is. In my mind it is. And I think Rock Lee is just hilarious. I think he has some of the funniest moments in the entire series too. But yeah, I think I have to go with Rock Lee, even though there are a ton of characters I really love in the series. So I guess that'll be my final answer, Rock Lee. Alright, next up, Vance Perpignani. I don't even want to butcher your name, Vance, so I'm gonna call you Vance. For me, you commented, for me I think Champions Path is a really good investment with all the multi-booster boxes or XY evolutions too. Well, Vance, I like both sets to be honest. I think they really have a lot going for them. Again, just like I had mentioned earlier, just remember that they are still very modern sets, so be prepared to wait a while before we see any movement with those sets. Alright, and Coulter Leisure asks, what type of products are the best to invest in? I.e. tins, ETBs, collection boxes, booster boxes, etc. Or do you think the featured Pokemon and artwork on the product govern the sealed value down the road more so than the type of product? Okay, let's stop on that question or those first couple of questions. So first thing, like I mentioned earlier, best is relative, so it's difficult for me to answer that. Now the artwork, on the other hand, artwork on the product is a very interesting question. So just thinking about this quickly, historically we do know that Charizard artwork sells at a premium, especially with items like base set packs. Historically, those Charizard art packs have always sold better than the Venusaurs and the Blastoises. And then even when we look at modern sets like Hidden Fates, the Charizard tins once again sell for a premium over the other tins, the Gyarados and the Raichu tins. So I do actually, when I say it out loud, I do actually think artwork could be an important factor in the distant future when it comes to sealed product. For example, another example would be as a collector, we were just talking about this set, but one of the things that you want to do is, let's say, display your products. You want to display those items, show them off, maybe just like to look at them from time to time. And something like the Champions Path Elite Trainer boxes, those just look fantastic. At least, again, in my opinion, I think they look amazing. I think they're such a great design. And I'd rather look at a Champions Path Elite Trainer box on my shelf than most English booster boxes. Again, just speaking for me personally, I'd rather look at a Champions Path Elite Trainer box or a Vivid Voltage Elite Trainer box than I would a booster box, or let's say a Cosmic Eclipse booster box. I'd much rather look at the Elite Trainer box artworks. But with that being said, generally speaking, I still would imagine that the contents of the set and the cards inside, the product inside, should always be the number one when you're factoring in investment. Because one of the things that you want to do is when you buy a sealed product, there's going to be people who buy it because they want to open it and get what is inside. And so I think that the artwork does matter, and we have seen that there are premiums on the artwork. The bottom line is, at least historically speaking, usually the value of the contents in the set is going to play the biggest factor in its price appreciation. All right, and let's go back up to the rest of your question. So you also said, see, type of product. Also, I started a Fidelity investment account at the beginning of the lockdowns with $500, and now it's worth about $1,200. So that's awesome. I also missed Hidden Fates when I took a break from collecting for like 6 months. All right, well, okay, first, great job with starting an investment account. So for traditional investments like stocks, don't get too caught up in the values. I know that's why we invest in the first place. And it's great to look at when the prices are going up, but just focus on increasing those contributions over time, especially if you're getting a percentage match from your employer. Right now, we are in a historic bull run in the traditional markets also. Keep in mind that there's going to be downturns in the market, so just be prepared for that. Remember that traditional investing is a very long-term game, and so don't get too caught up in the values because we could be up today and down 2 years from now. And so slow and steady really wins the race when it comes to traditional investing. But yeah, great job starting an investment account. Something that you need to do. And then regarding Hidden Fates, it's too bad you missed out on Hidden Fates. I wish I could help you there. But the good news, Shiny Star V is looking like a pretty solid set. At the time that I record this, it does look like we have a little bit of mixed reviews with Shiny Star V. It just depends on your age or your preference on the generation of Pokemon that you like. But I still think Shiny Star V is a very nice set, and that is going to be most likely our English 4.5 set coming in February. So it might be considered as good as Hidden Fates. Again, I've seen some mixed reviews. Some people say it's a lot worse. Some people like it a lot. But there's another chance for you for a really great set. Also, make sure you look out for potential Hidden Fates reprints. They're still slowly coming out. For example, we still have the Elite Trainer boxes that I don't believe have come out yet. So there'll be more print runs and possibly more tins in the future. So look out for those. But I just want to say, don't stress too much if you miss out on something. Honestly, it sounds like you're dealing with it very well. There's always going to be something else. So you missed out on Hidden Fates. Shiny Star V is coming out. Even if you miss out on Shiny Star V or the February set, there's Sword and Shield 5. There's our next holiday set or our anniversary set. And so there's always going to be something else. So don't worry about it too much. You'll be fine. All right, next up, Dan Jake Elephant. Your content is so good that I have nothing to ask. Maybe was your day job or regular stuff? AWP Master, what do you do for your day job and what business do you run? Thank you guys again for your support and your questions. So right now I have a couple of physical product businesses. I can't talk about them at all or in any detail, unfortunately, but I can say that they're physical goods. Businesses like mine, they do require some very good analytics and capital management to run it smoothly. So that's why I'm very good at what I do, for example. I don't know if you guys have watched shows like Shark Tank much, but you can have, for example, a business that does millions of dollars in sales a year with a great profit margin. Let's say you can do 70%, 80% profit margins, and the sharks will still just rip them to shreds once they hear some of their financials. And this is because you can already tell that they're going to go bankrupt. They are literally going to go out of business unless a miracle happens or one of the sharks bail them out. And when I hear certain things on that show, for example, I will literally just shout out loud. I'm like, oh my goodness, because I hear their numbers and I already know that they're doomed. And a lot of times, as I'm shouting, the sharks will, make their funny faces and their dirty looks before they start reprimanding the presenters. But don't don't get scared by that comment. All product businesses are not like this, so don't let that deter you from starting a business. We all have to start somewhere, and we all have to learn as we go. But what I can say is I do have quite a bit of experience with pretty much anything business. Of course, I haven't done everything, but I do have quite a bit of experience. I've done some examples of work I've done is creating POS systems, that's point of sale systems. I've created custom POS systems, inventory management systems. I've done serious copywriting, marketing campaigns, finance, a little bit of consulting, and there's more I'm sure I can't think of right now. Also, I've been working on the last several years or so on transitioning into becoming more of an investor, but I wouldn't necessarily call myself that yet. But that's why I also have a fair amount of knowledge with market dynamics and investing as well. And so, with the pandemic going on, even though I'm a little bit shuttered right now, I have been still working on my business. There are certain aspects that, for example, I still have to maintain during the shutdown. I'm also working on things like making improvements and trying to make certain systems, certain aspects of my businesses more efficient. So whenever the world opens back up and we start doing things normal again, I can hit the ground running and come back even stronger than when we first started. So sorry for rambling a little bit or a lot, but without answering your question directly, that's a bit of what I do and I guess my skill sets with regard to my businesses. Next up, enjoyed cello, favorite Pokemon and Pokemon card set. Alright, well, sorry to disappoint you, but I'm going to have some pretty boring answers for you on this one. Favorite Pokemon? It's going to be a tie with Pikachu and Charmander. Those are my two favorites. Although Scorbunny is quickly moving up on my list, and no, Charizard is not on my list of favorite Pokemon. So, next boring answer. Favorite set? My favorite set is base set. Any base set though. So, from an investment standpoint, of course, first edition and Shadowless will be better. But from my personal perspective, my personal standpoint, I don't care about first edition stamps or whether it's shadowless or not. I just like base set in any form. I just think the artwork is great. It's the original. It's the first set ever. It's the original artwork. It's nostalgic. It's the first set ever. What more can you ask for? So, favorite set, base set. All right, Josh Collects or JXSH Collects. I'm assuming you prefer Josh Collects. Have you ever considered doing some pack openings on camera, especially for new set releases? I think some videos like that down the line would be great to watch and really help this channel keep growing. Also, what was your favorite Pokemon investment purchase in Pokemon so far? So about pack openings, I have definitely thought about it and I would like to do it. and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think it would help out the channel. So my only issue with that is, like I had mentioned earlier, this is more of a personal issue. I don't really spend any money on myself on anything unless it's absolutely necessary. I'm also not a Leonhardt or a unlisted leaf type of personality, so I'm not that kind of person where I can shout after every card and show that excitement. I don't express it quite the same way. So I can't imagine this channel getting big enough to where I could justify buying all the products and opening everything. They those personalities again, people like Leonhardt, etc. They are really great at what they do. I think they're so entertaining. And to be fair, we did grow really fast here on this channel. So maybe I'm wrong, but I just think they're so much better at, being that vibrant personality than someone like myself. But again, to be fair, the channel did grow here pretty fast. Maybe it would work, but I always just thought of this channel as more of a passion project or a side hobby. And so that's why, for example, I bought this very cheap microphone instead of, let's say, a professional multiple $100 expensive microphone, for example, versus other channels. You can tell very deliberately they had started their channels with the goal of building an audience and building somewhat of a business or being a full-time YouTuber. You can tell that they had actually started with that mindset and they had that focus that they were going to hit 1,000 subscribers or 5,000 or 10,000. I can't speak specifically on any channels, but there's certain channels you could just tell they had a certain purpose as soon as they started with how professional and everything that they were doing. And so I never really even imagined that, again, we would even get to 1,000 subscribers here on this channel. Like I've said many times before, it was just not something I thought about or considered. And so yes, I've definitely thought about openings. I think it would be really helpful for you guys too. But it's just really difficult for me personally when I'd be sinking money that I can't really afford to pay for in that regard. Again, I don't mind spending money when it goes into an investment, but I just have a little bit of a problem with me spending money for myself. And I know it sounds kind of cruel, but just trust me on that. I'm totally fine with it. It's just the way I am programmed and I'm hardwired. So if I were to do something like a pack opening or product openings, I would seriously, seriously need your guys' support to do something like that consistently. Whether it's just sharing this channel, subscribing to the channel, using my affiliate links, maybe I do a Patreon, whatever. I'll need your guys' help to really make that happen. But yes, I definitely thought about it. I would love to do it, honestly. I think it would be so great, not just for the channel, but I think it'd just be really helpful for you guys if you have my perspective on new products as I'm opening them and I could tell you what I think right then and there. But yes, thank you for the suggestion. I do like the idea. Again, I'll really need your guys' support. So let me know if you guys like to see it, and if you can again help me out with those watch times and everything if I do decide to do that. All right, let's go to the second part of your question. Also, what was your favorite investment purchase in a Pokemon so far? Now this is actually a really great question. So we were just talking about openings, which again that was your question. But one of my favorite items is actually an item I need to open, coincidentally. So I have a complete set of the vending sheets. So from the vending series, I have Series 3, the complete set. I think it's a wonderful set. I wouldn't say this is the best investment, but I think it's my favorite investment, or one of my favorites that I could think of off the top of my head. It's such a unique product. It predates the English sets. Don't quote me on that, but I'm 99% certain that predates the English sets. So they're over 20 years old. We have unique distribution. The vending series sheets came from vending machines, hence the name vending series. And it has these unique sheets that hold the cards instead of booster packs like we see now. And it has some very interesting, unique artwork that most of we have not seen released ever in America, and it probably never will be. And I bought this set with the intention of opening it, or I should say peeling it. but once I got it, I just couldn't quite bring myself to do it yet. But I know that's something that I have to do because that's something I was actually planning to do, was peeling the cards off the sheet because I wanted that set. So my favorite investment so far is the Vending Series Series 3 Complete set. Eddie Nolan asks, what's your favorite part of the Pokemon hobby? So that's another really good question. You guys are really starting to come with some really good questions. So two things that I think are my favorite part of the hobby. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to give you two. For one of my first favorite parts, of course, is the hunt of finding deals. So of course, I think finding deals is pretty self-explanatory. I love finding deals. It's always fun to buy something at a fraction of the value or finding a really great deal. I think we can all agree on that one. Another thing that I actually really like about Pokemon is finding what I think are inefficiencies in the marketplace. To me, it's just so fun to analyze something and seeing something that is a secret hidden in plain sight. And I do this in the traditional world and the traditional business world. And it's actually how I've started multiple businesses. And I do this for Pokemon too. If I just think on the top of my head, for example, the PSA 10 Evolutions Charizard, the holo version of that. Earlier this year at the time, everyone was saying what a bad and terrible investment Evolutions was. And it was just pretty much ignored because everyone said it was such a terrible investment. But I had noticed how difficult it was to get the PSA 10. And if you guys don't know the Evolutions Charizard, the holo card, it is incredibly difficult to get PSA 10. The PSA 10 rate is just astronomically low. And when I realized this, I tried to buy them when I think they were maybe only, I want to say about $200 or $300. But figuring that out and trying to get one before everyone realized it, that to me was really fun. I did try to get one, but unfortunately, they always got bought before I was able to get one. And so eventually got to a price I wasn't willing to pay. But just the hunt, figuring that out, and the hunt of trying to get that card before anyone else realized it, that was really fun to me. And just a quick side note again for you guys as a reward for those of you who are paying attention. I can't reveal everything, but trust me when I say there are still plenty, and I mean plenty, of inefficiencies out there in the market today. There are some that I am trying to take advantage of now. And there are plenty that I don't know about, and I'm still discovering all the time. There are things that maybe I know that someone else doesn't know, and vice versa. So it doesn't always mean the market price will meet it or get efficient, but it definitely gives you nicer odds. For example, I never told anyone about the Evolutions Charizard grading issue, but the market figured it out and the price just sort of fixed itself. But anyway, so without getting too deep or rambling on too long again, that's my favorite part of the Pokemon card hobby is just finding deals and finding market efficiencies. I think that aspect of the hobby is so fun, and there's always something new popping up all the time. All right, next up, Sonic Ice 24 asks, what's your favorite food and least favorite food? All right, so favorite food, baby back ribs. I love it when they fall off the bone. I love baby back ribs. Definitely one of my favorite foods of all time. Least favorite food, there is a ton of stuff I don't like to eat. So that's a really tough one for me to think about. So I'm going to have to skip that question. But what I can tell you is I am definitely more on the carnivore side. So you can kind of guess a lot of the things that I don't enjoy eating quite as much. So favorite food, baby back ribs. Daniel asks, in the future when your investments, more specifically packs and booster boxes, have gone up in price, where do you plan to sell them? Daniel, that is an awesome question. That question actually shows a lot of thought. It really shows you're thinking about the future and your exit strategy. So regarding sealed product, very likely, I guess I can't say with 100% certainty, but very likely I'm just going to go the typical route of eBay. I'd rather just do eBay because it's very simple. It saves me a lot of time. I do have seller protection, even though I know they have buyer protection on the opposite side, but we do at least have some bit of seller protection. It also reaches a very large audience. You also, I forgot to mention, you have seller protection on the side of USPS. So you do have protections on that side for yourself as well. Generally speaking, I can speak from business experience that 99.9% of people are very honest. So yes, you're going to have that occasional person that you are going to have a problem with, but statistically speaking, most people are very honest. Most people you're not really going to have any problems with. And part of the reason I do prefer something like an eBay, even though again, the fees are extremely high, if you really put it in the broader perspective, 15% of a fee, let's say if you factor in 10% for eBay, 3% for PayPal, plus any other miscellaneous expenses that go with it, I just like to round it to 15%. 15% for the exposure you get and the simplicity of the sale is actually a very good deal compared to, again, let's say running a traditional business where you can have a great margin, but still the selling expenses can really eat into those profits to the point where you could be going from a 70% profit margin to a net of 30% or 20% profits. And so you get to see that selling expenses can take a huge chunk. So even though, yes, 15% for selling on eBay or maybe a similar platform is quite a bit, in the grand scheme of things, it's actually pretty cheap. Although I do understand if some people want to go the route of selling in person, let's say through a Facebook Marketplace, for example, completely understand. It's just, for me, it's personally a little bit too big of a risk on a lot of different levels, but I can understand somebody wanting to do that way. But for me personally, I'm just going to go with a simplistic route, which would be something like eBay or whatever platforms are offered by the time I'm looking to sell. Fantastic question, Daniel. Next up, Faisal GH. Sorry, I know you comment a lot. I probably am not pronouncing that right, but congrats, you deserve this. What expansion do you think they will release on the 25th anniversary? Gen 2 remake like XY Evolutions 5 years ago? So this is a really tough one. Personally, I would love to see some type of reprint set, again, a la Evolutions like you had said. So I could totally see something like Jungle, Rocket, Neo Genesis. But my gut says that they're going to surprise us with something that we're not really expecting or looking for. I shouldn't say looking for, but I think they're going to surprise us with something that we're not really expecting. Like maybe some type of weird blend of Gen 1 and Gen 2, or some combination of modern and vintage. For example, if we look at evolutions, they never put in the base set Blastoise or Venusaur. So we have the Charizard Holo, but not Blastoise or Venusaur, even though those are some of the most iconic cards from the original base set, and they didn't include it in evolutions. So including those in a 25th anniversary set wouldn't surprise me. But then that would, if they did that, that would kind of break the theme of, let's say, a Generation 2 starters set. So I really have no clue what they're gonna do because I could see so many different possibilities. But I really think that whatever it is, we're gonna be surprised because the Pokemon Company International, they've really been surprising us a lot lately. And a perfect example would be Champion's Path and how I had the shiny Charizard V, and that completely caught us off guard. And then Champion's Path also had the Rainbow Rare version of the Charizard VMAX. The fact that that was in there was a huge shock because if you guys don't remember, the Charizard VMAX Rainbow Rare was a trophy card in Japan. And before that, we never saw trophy cards from Japan coming to an American release. And they finally did it and just shocked us. So I do think whatever they do end up doing for the 25th anniversary, I think it's going to be one of those curveballs that we just don't really see coming. But I guess all we can do is just wait and see. All right, next up, Mullet Mullet Monster asks, do you purchase / collect / invest in Japanese Pokemon sets? So first of all, love the name Mullet Monster. So the simple answer is yes and no. I do have positions in Japanese cards, a very small position. However, I can't say I'm very knowledgeable on the Japanese side of the hobby. So, from an investor's perspective, I'm still learning and I'm actively trying to learn and educate myself more and more on, again, the Japanese side of the hobby. Versus, for example, English. I have a much stronger understanding of how common certain cards or sets are. I understand the structure of the product lines much better. But for Japanese cards, they have different types of products. Their supply is different. The way they do prints and reprints is very different. The demand is different, and judging that demand is obviously very difficult, being that I live in the United States versus being in Japan on the ground floor over there. So I have a lot to learn as far as all the intricacies of that side of the hobby. But with that said, I do have some Japanese cards that I got from larger purchases. For example, in some of my videos, you probably have seen I have a Japanese base set Charizard, and that was actually from a small collection I bought quite a while ago. And I got that just more as an accident. It was an accidental investment because I got it again as part of a larger deal, and it was just so good of a deal. I had to take it, and so I ended up with a base set Charizard. And as I'm sure you guys know, I have a solid amount of Japanese promo cards, which I love having. I think they're just fantastic. I love that the Japanese promotional cards, they have a unique distribution. They're fairly limited depending again on that particular release. And we have a lot of exclusive artwork that we're probably never ever going to see again or see in English. Oh, and I don't think it's going to be a big surprise, so I'll just go ahead and say it, and this will be another little reward for you guys that have actually made it this far and are still paying attention, if you're actually still paying attention. I will have a position in Shiny Star V, so that will be actually a significant position for me as far as Japanese sets go. So yes, I do invest in Japanese cards and sets, but only on product right now that I'm very confident in because I'm not as knowledgeable on that side of the hobby, on the Japanese side of the hobby yet, as much as I would like to be. Again, I'm still working on it, but right now I'm still a work in progress as far as really having that intimate, deep knowledge of the Japanese side of the market. Nicholas L. Corey, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but Nicholas asks or says, congrats on 1K. What are some of the cards you love but haven't been able to acquire and why, whether it be because of price point, rarity, etc.? That's a really nice question. Very good question. So I have two really quick answers for you. I pretty much know this answer right away. First one is the one of the obvious first edition base set Charizard. I'm really upset with myself that I didn't buy this card earlier because I could have done it. Not a PSA 10, but I definitely could have gotten one. But now that the prices are where they are, as of now, I won't pay today's prices out of pocket. If I do end up getting one, it's going to be either through maybe some really great deal or because I paid for it through, let's say, selling some of my other holdings in order to get the card. So if I get profits from my Pokemon investments. So the next card that I love but I haven't been able to get is going to be a weird one, and that is the Vending Series Poliwrath card. So I don't have the card, so I'll put a picture on the screen when I edit this video. But I love this Poliwrath card. I believe it's from Vending Series 1, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know why, but I love this card. The first time I saw it, I just thought this card was so cool. I mean, just imagine and think about this for a second. Where else are you going to find a crayon drawing of a Pokemon drawn by a child on an officially released Pokemon card? So for me, the pureness of that card is just so great. And it's one of those cards, the first time I saw it, I instantly wanted it. I just love that card. Again, there's just something really pure about that card that I really like. So if you know anything about Vending Series, you know this card is actually pretty cheap and it's pretty affordable. I definitely could get one. But like I mentioned earlier, I just don't really buy anything for myself. So even though the card is something I really like and it is very affordable, it's not something I'm gonna buy just because it's just kind of the way I do things. So the only way that I'll actually get that card is if maybe I get it in a larger collection where I consider that as an investment and the Polyrath card just happened to be inside. But as of now, I have not been able to get one. So those are the two cards that I'd love to have, but I have not been able to acquire, which is the first edition base set Charizard and the Polyrath Vending Series card. Alright guys, so that is everything. Wow, I can't believe this ended up being this long. So thank you guys again so much for your support. Again, getting to 1,000 subscribers is not something I ever even considered would be a possibility for this channel. So I hope you'll continue to stick around and show your support. It really energizes me and it elevates me to a level that's hard to do on your own when you guys are commenting and showing your support and letting me know that I'm going in the right direction and really helping guys. So as always, thank you guys. Have an amazing day. I'm Kakashi with Kanto Capital, and I will see you in the next video.